So welcome everyone back from your holiday. This is the first event for IFCN in 2023, and it is also the first global dairy tech mapping event. Do you know how many innovative dairy tech companies exist? If you have no idea yet, do not worry. Today would serve as a great opportunity to gain insight about dairy tech field. So this event is designed by Walt and Torsten together to help the dairy industry innovate faster and to connect like-minded people in the ecosystem. And moreover, we would like to support all agri-tech firms to have a better overview of the global dairy tech landscape. Torsten, would you like to give us a short introduction of today's agenda?
Yes. Well, after the opening, we will share with you a Dairy Outlook 23. So what happens on the dairy markets? This drives everyone in the dairy industry, and we are now in very exciting times. Correct, Philip? I think we have a great story to tell here and to share. That's number one. Number two is Walt and I will share with you the research which we have been doing on the dairy tech map. Then you have a chance for Q&As. Please use the Q&A part for that one. We will have a poll opinion of the crowd, and then we conclude defining what you get when and how you could work with all the material.
Thank you, Torsten. And now I want to give thank you to all of your great passion and your support for this event. So we sent out invitation 2 weeks ago, and now we received more than 940 registrations from over 80 different countries. So we really appreciate your interest in learning more about the dairy tech field. And that is why the reason we're willing to go through all these hassles to make this event happen. And so welcome again for all of you to join us today. So now we've seen our audience. Now I want to shortly introduce the event organizers. So I'll start with our IFCN team, Philip, the lead product development of IFCN, and Torsten, the CEO and founder of IFCN. He will be today's speaker and also my co-hoster. And my name is Shiyin. I'm the network manager at IFCN. I will be today's moderator. Lastly, I would want to give a warm welcome to our special guest, Walt Kuhn. And he is the vice president at the Progressive Dairy from America. Walt, we're very happy to have you here today with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And for many of you, it's already IFCN partner, and some of you been our forum last year, so you probably also know IFCN. But I also see some very fresh new face here who's probably not so familiar with IFCN yet. So what is IFCN? IFCN is a dairy network based in Kiel, Germany. And our mission is to help people in the dairy world to make better decisions. And what makes IFCN stand out for past 24 years is our 3 pillars approach. So we have more than 100 researchers from all over the world provide us with globally comparable and consistent and accurate data. And we have more than 140 globally leading dairy-related companies who's using our data to make better decisions. And of course, our research center in Kiel, we have 20 outstanding dairy experts who's in here and validate and analyze the data collected from all over the world. And now we would want to know more about Progressive Dairy. Can you shortly introduce to us what is Progressive Dairy?
Yeah, thanks. Progressive Dairy is a US-based publication. We mail a print magazine to all US dairy farms 6 times a year, and to the large farms that are operating here in the US 20 times per year. That's about 20,000 copies to those 20 times per year. We also mail a magazine to 7,000 plus dairy farms in Canada on a monthly basis. And we publish a weekly newsletter that's distributed on Thursdays via email. We do have digital-only subscriptions available anywhere in the world. So if you're interested in subscribing, you can register to receive our content at progressivedairy.com/subscribe. And we'd encourage you to follow along and get more information about not only just dairy technology, but best dairy practices for management, production, and harvesting of milk.
Thank you very much, Wout, for your introduction. And now, without further ado, let's jump directly to today's agenda. So the first topic is Dairy Outlook 2023, and it will be delivered by Philip. Philip, the stage is all yours.
Yes, thanks a lot, Jean, Torsten, for the introduction, and also Walt for having this great progressive dairy insights with the dairy tech, what you developed together with Torsten. So before starting with today's presentation, shortly, just what are IFCN services for our partners? So there are three key member benefits. It's the global holistic picture of the dairy world, who are accessing data, which is global comparable dairy data. And the last one, but not the least one, is also the networking. So bringing the key people in the dairy world together via such kind of event, or also live events, which we are also hosting. And all of them are using our great, as Torsten once said to me, the holy Bible of the dairy industry, the IFCN Dairy Report, which we publish annually in October, where you have a comprehensive overview in a 224 pages book all about dairy. So where is dairy and how dairy is developing, about the status, trends, and also the future. But for whom is this IFCN services? So who are the partners of IFCN? So we have specific offers and packages who are for dairy related companies, but also researchers, farmers, students, and all the other organizations. So you see, everyone who's interested in the dairy world can benefit from the IFCN insights. And at the end, just shortly to wrap up what today's presentation will be about, it will be about the dairy market trends, the milk price trends in the US and EU with an example, and also where the milk price is going to head into 2023. And all those data which I'm going to show you is based on one of our services which we are delivering to our partners on a monthly basis, which is the IFCN monthly real-time data for 65 countries. So we are monitoring 65 countries for milk production and also milk prices. So Torsten, if we move on and to start with the, let's say, the easiest part and the most crucial driver for the dairy world, which is the milk price. And you see here on this chart, the IFCN World Milk Price Indicator, which is based on the dairy commodity prices. So it's a theoretically price which a farmer would get if he would sell his milk on a global market. And what is remarkable is that we are having three different level shifts, so to say, or price developments. Until 2006, we were in a price level of $25 per 100 kg solid corrected milk, which means 4% fat and 3.3% protein, until 2006. Afterwards, in the time period from 2007 until 2021, we were on an average price level of $40. And then in 2022, so last year, we have seen record high prices, which we have never seen before, of above $60. So can you imagine such high price increases and such price developments? Most probably no one has imagined that he or she could see this price development in 2022. And what are the patterns behind this price developments? Because you see, it's fluctuating, and what you also see, if you go more into the details and more into the analysis of the data, you see that the price cycles are, in most cases, 3 to 4 years. So every 3 to 4 years, the price is changing, either more from stability to much higher fluctuation, or just into stability. What we have as an exception is the past 5 years, so from 2017 until 2021, where we have seen a more stability in the dairy markets, but then afterwards, as all of you know, the disruption came to the dairy markets also, and the prices have increased heavily. In January 2023, we are standing for the IFCN World Milk Price Indicator at $42. And you see also this range, so this slightly orange marked color fields in the chart on the left side, and you see the lowest range, so to say, is with WMP. So we see that there currently the most pressure is coming also from the WMP side. And if we are continuing, what are the impact of the price cycle? So why do we see something like this? And what is crucial to monitor? For dairy farmers, it's a profitability indicator and a supply adjustment. So if you see high milk prices, farmers are going to adjust its milk production and want to produce much more milk to increase the profitability. For the farm input companies, the milk price is a good tool to monitor and track the investment behavior of the farmers. Because if milk prices are high, farmers most probably are also willing and interested in investing into their farm because they have higher revenues. For the dairy processors, the milk price is the most crucial indicator to monitor because it's one of the biggest cost drivers to purchase the raw milk materials and then process it and further trade and sell it. And for the dairy tech companies, it is your customers, it's your clients. So with this, you can support farmers to track the milk price. And also at this stage, you can monitor the investment behavior at the end also of the farmers. So you see, you can use the milk price and the world milk price in really different manners, and all along the dairy value chain, it can be used. But Torsten, the national milk prices, most probably now you would ask the question, are the national milk prices following? And I can give you shortly an answer, yes, they are following, because the national milk prices are derived from the world milk prices. So they are following the world milk price with a certain delay. So there are two different delay factors. First one is the time-based delay and the level-based delay. This I just shortly want to explain you with the chart, which you see here for the US milk price. So it's the US all milk price, the blue line, and the red line, again, the IFCN world milk price indicator. So also from the last chart. And what you can see is the national milk prices, so the US all milk price is following the world market price. With these two exceptions of level and time-based. Time-based was, for example, in the case of 2013-14, where you have seen the world milk price started to decrease earlier than the national milk prices in the US, and they have somehow followed with some time delay. On the other side, we also see, for example, in 2016-17, that the prices haven't dropped that much as on the world level. And this is caused by the butter story. So there was a fat deficit and the milk price was higher adjusted to fat prices, and the farmers were getting a higher milk price to produce also more milk. Now, if you just click further on, Torsten, in January 2023, we are standing for the US at a milk price of around about $50 US. So it's still on high levels compared to its previous developments, but they are following the world market prices much more closely than the German market, which I just brought here as an example, where you also see there was this level-based disruption. So in 2017-18, we have seen this peak in milk prices and this disconnection from the world market, because also then the fat, so the butter story, swapped over to Europe, and there was a fat deficit and higher milk prices were achieved. So in general, what we can also see, the milk prices haven't peaked yet in Europe, or especially in Germany as well, because there's still this time delay. So what can be expected is that milk prices are going to drop in Europe and in Germany as well, because they're following the world market trends as well, just with a certain time delay. So milk prices are going to drop because they need to stay on a competitive level as a major exporter and need to be following the world market price, so to say, at the end. If we move on, Torsten, and this we are monitoring for all, as I mentioned at the beginning, for 65 countries, and each country has its own pattern, but they are all somehow similar and following the world market prices. And if you would like to know more about this, always feel free to reach out to us, and we are happy to support you and give you more insights about those. Now, most probably you're also curious about how the future might look like. So what is the expected for 2023? You see here on this left chart, again, the IFCN world milk price indicator. And then also I added the 3 major markets for the future markets based on the S&P and butter prices only, which is the green line from EEX, so the European market, from NZX and SGX, the New Zealand market or Oceanian market, and the blue line from Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the US market. And what you can see that after the average, long-term average of $40, we have increased much higher, and now we are somehow on a smooth transition. So Torsten, if you just click further on, we see the scenario one is, like the futures are indicating, we are on a smooth landing at a new average price level of 45 to 50 US dollar. So we are living in times as we have seen in 2007, where we were just moving up with the average milk prices. But there's also a possibility for a roller coaster scenario. What does this mean? That we are living in times like in 2013 to 16, so where we have seen price peaks and then also price lows because there was an oversupply. This would result that 2023 we see low prices of most probably even below 30 US dollar and then a price recovery in 2024. But most analysts, and IFCN included as well, see a higher probability of scenario one, so that we are on a smooth transition towards a new average price level, as we named it also last year, the new normal in dairy. And Torsten, if we just move on, and that because that's why it's important to monitor developments on a monthly level, to stay ahead and to use this as early warning indicators of what might happen and what will happen to the dairy industry further on and in the near future. Presentations are a good thing, and just listening to someone who's talking to someone and giving some insights, but nothing can beat the face-to-face interaction with the key dairy players on the global market and also in the European market. And that's why we also decided, together with Ukule, again, hosting our second IFCN Dairy Outlook workshop. Torsten, if we can shortly continue to the next slide. Yes, thanks. We decided to host the second Dairy Outlook workshop. Last year was our first time, now the second time. And why we developed it and why is it important to join? Because due to this huge amount of uncertainties and this paradigm shift, what I just mentioned, with milk is not a fixed variable anymore. And that's why we have seen this huge milk price increases. It's important to understand why it is like this, how the future might look like, and to better understand how this uncertainties and paradigm shift can impact your company, and also how to define a winning dairy strategy for your companies at the end then. So what do we offer there during this workshop? We offer outlook on the energy market, on the inflation, because we have also great guest speakers invited and already confirmed. And we are also talking about the dairy market outlook 2023. So what might happen in terms of prices and production this year, but also more in the midterm. So how the future might develop until 2030. And at the end, as IFCN stands also for International Farm Comparison Network, the networking point is also a crucial point and the most important point, because we will also do knowledge of the ground and also have several workshop ideas. Where and when it will take place, it will be on the 28th and 29th March, a lunch-to-lunch session in Brussels. It will be in person, so there will be no live stream. It will be only in person, live. And it's open for everyone, and IFCN and Ecole members are getting a discount. And if you would like to know more about what is the detailed agenda, where, in which hotel it will take place, feel free to contact us, or also wait for the the follow-up materials, because there you will get also a link to our landing page where you get more information about this event. With this, I want to close my part, which was relatively short. I hope you liked it. And yeah, back to you, Torsten and Sheen.
Thank you very much, Philip, for your nice presentation. And now I want to give stage to Walt and Torsten. They will be presenting us with a Dairy Tech Map 2023. And Torsten, I'm really curious who exactly these companies are on your map.
Yes.
And for our audience, if you have any questions, feel free to send a question in the Q&A box or the chat box.
Wonderful. Yes, Sheen. Well, as good researchers, let's start with definitions and methods. So there are quite a number of technologies out there, but we had to define on what part of the chain we want to focus on. And what we decided, Walt and our team here, saying, let's focus on technologies around the farm. So the cow, the farm, the farmer, the interaction in the supply chain, but we have excluded in dairy alternative, dairy product technologies, and new alternatives, etc., etc. And Walt, defining tech companies in dairy was not that easy, right? We have a wide range here.
Yes, yeah, we chose to focus on-farm technologies, things that would be touching cows or the farmers that are touching the cows, or the milk that's being touched on farm. So up until the point the milk leaves the farm, technologies that would be used there are included here. We also excluded maybe technologies that are specifically focused on crop growing, agriculture related things. So this is primarily just for technologies that would be used on a dairy farm.
Very good. We did a data collection based on desktop research expert knowledge, what we had. And I like to share the great work which has been done by students at the Master of Dairy Science of University Kiel. So thanks a lot, Yosa, Gayatri, and Rahel for the great work supporting this map. Now, disclaimer, right? Disclaimer is very important. Our aim is to give an overview, but we are aware of significant limitations. We don't know whether we cover all. We don't know whether I understood everything full and whether we have categorized them. And Walt, I think, how was it from your side?
Yeah, so this is the challenge with dairy tech is making sure that we found all of the companies that are available. Some companies are trying to fly under the radar a little bit. They don't want to be known. So this is by no means comprehensive. We've tried to identify as many as we can. Some companies maybe we identified, and we're still trying to make sure that they fit the definitions that we've identified here before we would include them. So we've done our best to identify and then also to categorize, but yeah, there's only so much information available with desk research. So we've done our best.
Yes. And I saw in the chat, some people ask about methane blockers. Yes, we have these companies in, and you put already in the chat some companies in which I don't have on the radar. So this work is a starting point, and we need your help, right? We started a LinkedIn working group called Dairy Tech Global Platform. Please feel free to join and to provide updates on this piece of work. Now, we have identified 180 dairy farm tech companies, and most of them are from North America, followed by Europe, and quite a big number of dairy tech companies also from Asia. Walt, any comments from your side on this?
Yeah, it's exciting to see these numbers that there's development going on in multiple parts of the world, and yeah, it truly is a global movement.
Yes. And I'm so excited, the company from Africa is Mumi, and Mumi joined IFCN because that's how we came to know about them. But there might be even more about our companies out there. So first message, 180 companies. Second message, which we have for you, these companies have invested more than $1 billion to help dairy farming in the world. I think this is worth a great applause, right, Jean? Let's applause on that one. I think it's a fantastic piece of work. So this is a proxy work. It could be also 2 billion, we don't know. What we know here from 60 companies who have somehow, where we had data, and these companies invested already in their lifetime 570 million. This is what investors put in. This was not the time which the founders put in, which is usually not paid. So our estimation was if these 60 companies come up with 570 million, we're easily with the others above $1 billion. How does that relate? Walt, anything to add on you? Tech has always something to do with money, right?
Yeah, it's always looking for investment and people to believe in it with dollars, right? But yeah, this is a big number. I like how you always like to find the number, Torsten, and it's good to define this. I think that's a conservative estimate of $1 billion invested.
And it shows there's trust from investors and entrepreneurial talents in dairy. I think that's a good message for everyone active in dairy. We looked in some farm tech investments 2020, and here we come up with a number of around 8 billion. So that's all agriculture and farm tech. And over a time frame of the last 5 years, there's been an investment of 24 billion. I was surprised to see there are big numbers of going into technologies in here. So that was the first story on tech. Now, where do these tech companies focus on? What do they do? And it's quite interesting that a lot of them focus on management, better farm and cow management. Walt, anything to add from your side on that one?
Yeah, management is definitely the biggest piece of the pie here, and it's also a broad category, so a lot of things can fit into it. But this would be management of people that are on the farm, could be management of cow information about cows, and also about just general the milk being produced. So it's a broad category, but obviously it's the thing that producers are touching every single day, and that really move the bottom line for their operation.
It's also about selling milk, risk management, buying inputs. So, I think, well, dairy is a little bit not that strong in digitalization. So I think it's a great step here. And then we had a lot of health companies focusing on animal health, feeding, and then interactions in the supply chain. I'm quite surprised about the green part here, because I think one of the challenges in the whole supply chain is the interaction of the various players, and I think we could gain massive efficiencies by handling this better, right?
Yeah, that's there's definitely a pull from the supply chain to digitize, to technology, to include more technology. So it is a growing piece of this pie.
Very good. So now, what is the focus on tech related to technologies? And that was, now we're getting more in the tricky area, because sometimes we don't fully even understand what's in these companies, but we classify more than 50% of these companies, the core competence is in software. And the second one is automation, and followed by sensors. Walt, anything to add on this one?
Yeah, software is definitely very agile. It's the one that can be propped up pretty quickly from a startup perspective, and also adapt very quickly to the needs of farmers as it gets deployed. So software is the most agile category of all that we've been looking at. The other ones, automation, definitely a little bit more capital investment involved, research that's required, development that occurs in that space, as well as sensors. So maybe a little bit slower moving and more capital intensive in those sectors. So yeah, software, definitely you see it pop up quickly, and it can become very flexible to the needs of farms.
So good news, there's a lot of development going on. And now let's move to the first dairy farm tech, number one. And Walt, we have 3 categories here. We have small, medium, and large. And this was your idea to structure them in that way. So, so how did you came up with this?
Yeah. So as I've looked at farm technologies over the last 10 years, one of the things that always comes up is a farmer says, well, I'll be interested in the technology when my neighbor has it. And so the easiest way to measure how technologies are rolling out into the marketplace is by the number of cows that are being affected by the technology. So in these 3 categories, we've defined small as a company that is primarily a startup, and its innovation is touching fewer than 100,000 cows. So this could include companies that are in the research stage, maybe in a beta stage, or to some degree, they could also be starting into commercialization. They may have paying customers who are helping to fund and support the startup. Touching fewer than 100,000 cows.
Yes, and we have so far in this category identified 62 companies in that category. Wonderful. What is medium then?
So the medium companies would be defined as companies who are starting to gain traction in the marketplace. They'd be considered early adoption technologies. They primarily have strong commercialization approaches to the marketplace. They're coming to farmers with a value proposition and getting paid for that value proposition. And they're starting to grow and add more and more customers to their customer base. So we're saying that these companies would be touching anywhere between 100,000 cows and up to 1 million cows.
Yes, and we have put so far 44 companies in this category. And then we have the large thing here, right?
Yes. Yeah. So large companies is kind of the interesting to one to define. We are defining these as those that are working with technology. So they may not necessarily be developing their own technology. They could be. So it could be research, could be development, but primarily a lot of these companies are in the acquisition stage. They might come in and acquire a small company or a medium company and use their capitalization to help promote its additional launching into the marketplace and finding more and more cows. So we're saying these companies are touching with their technology products, or maybe their just their overall reach more than 1 million cows globally.
Very good. So this is the companies where we had been somehow comfortable to allocate them, and we have also a category where we are not fully sure. We show them later in the slide. So let's move now on and show who are the companies in the first category, small. This 62 companies, and you know, it's a lot, right? Well, did you expect so many there?
Yeah, there's the small category is the one that kind of fluctuates the most. Companies will come and get a startup and maybe be around for a few years, and some then fall off as we were putting this together. Had a long list, and as I was verifying with them, some of them said, "Yeah, we're not in business anymore." So the small category is a little bit of a whirlpool. It churns a little bit, and some get to stay and some don't. But I'm very impressed with the diversity here. I mean, there's everything from feed products to biological companies to robotics to automation to sensors, alternative feeds. There's just a ton of excitement. This is a really exciting space. A lot of diversity in what's being worked on.
Also, quite a number of them target the issue of carbon emission reduction. Some even target the cattle trading. There's a lot of disruption potential in here, right? To do things very different than we are used to do it, right?
Definitely, yeah. These companies would definitely be considered disruptors.
Yes. So the second category, sorry, I'm too fast here. Okay, let's move to all. The companies in the middle, 100,000 to 1 million. What do you see here?
Yeah. This is a really exciting category as well. So these people that are operating with these companies, they have a technology. Usually, it's proven, and they're bringing it to the marketplace, actively selling it to farmers. They have a return on investment primarily that they can tell farmers, if you invest in this, you'll see these kind of results, and they're gaining traction. I think they're primarily the ones that are usually a little bit more stable financially than the small companies. Either they've been through rounds of funding already, or their revenue from active selling is supporting their company. These ones are the interesting ones. They're the ones that you think will likely make it in the long run. So it's curious to see which ones are pulling ahead and making their fast introduction to the marketplace.
Very good. And I think for a dairy farmer, this is a category where the most innovators probably are very well suited to see what's there, and they find first solutions here which might work and bring them forward, right? Yeah,
this would be the space in the medium category where most farmers might at least take a look. In the small category, your early adopters and your innovators might partner with one of those technologies to be a beta farm. But this medium category is really where maybe most dairy farms might take a first look at a company in this category.
Yes, and if once again, we don't want to offend anyone, right? We might be wrong. There might be something in category 1 which is excellent, where Ensure is already solving everything for the farmers, and but for us it was a little bit of a giving structure and the diversity in here. And please, once again, if we are wrong, if we have positioned your company wrong, join the LinkedIn group or write in the comments. We are happy to adjust. Now, Walt, the larger company, I see a lot of companies I know for a long time, and it looks like dairy tech is a matter of startups and established companies, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so these large companies are the ones that you probably recognize. Most of the logos that are there. They're in the marketplace, either with a technology leaning product right out of the gate, or maybe they have a stable of technologies that they're developing and adding to their portfolio of more traditional products that they're selling. So yeah, this is these names should be familiar. They're also the ones that are in the position to potentially, and I know that they are watching these other categories for potential early winners, and they might be the ones to acquire a technology and again bring it under their umbrella to help push it forward.
Yeah, or partner in revenue in selling and bring it into the farmer. So I think that there's what I learned out of this map. There's not either or. It's not small is good, big is bad. And find your own space, find your own route. Whatever helps the farmers, helps your company is the right thing to do and to move forward.
Yeah, we definitely need all these categories, Torsten. I mean, yes. This is the pipeline, right? We have to have some in small. They need to grow into medium, and we need the large companies for the purpose of capitalization and helping these technologies continue to develop.
Yes. And I saw a comment that we have not looked too much into calf feeding. Oh, that's a good comment. Thanks a lot for that one. So let's move on with the companies which we don't have so far allocated, and we have another 50 companies which we were not fully comfortable where they are. We think they are small and that these are large. Walt, any comments on that one?
Yeah, so these ones are ones that we're still evaluating. Some of them cross over into the beef cattle space a little bit. So still trying to determine how much of their approach is beef focused versus dairy focused. But this is another interesting category where you can kind of say how many of these companies could be included in one of the other segments in the other map.
Yes. So we plan to merge it all together using your feedback, whatever we have here, and by Friday we have the final map ready, right? So now there's time for Q&A. And Shiyin, do we have questions?
Yes. And thank you very much, Walt and Torsten, for the nice work with this map. I know it's a lot of effort. It's very well done. Thank you for sharing. And I see we have a lot of questions in Q&A, and Philip's already answered them. So if you also have the same question, you can check the Q&A session with answers. And also we have received like hundreds questions from our registrants. Here I would like to forward to you. So the first one I want to ask you is from Jonah, and he or she asked, what are the 3 biggest hurdles to dairy innovation?
Walt, how would you answer to see it?
Well, there's probably more than 3 for sure. I think getting the attention of the farmer is one of the most difficult things from a tech company perspective. It's easy to say, well, hey, we have this technology and it can do this, and the farmer says, oh, that's great, but maybe that's not the most important thing that the farmer has on the top of their mind. So matching what a technology can do with a specific need on a farm is probably, in my book, I'd say that's number 1. Torsten, you want to take a stab at another one?
Well, for a successful idea to come into the marketplace is a multi-dimensional mix of talent, lucky moments, and coming together. So everyone starts with an idea and a person behind it, and then it moves forward.
Okay, thank you. And also the next question is from Mohammed Sami. He want to ask what will be the benefit of the mapping and how it will be useful for the farmers.
Yeah, so this is the reason why I'm interested in creating this map and following along with these technologies is, as I mentioned before, a lot of farmers will tell me, well, I'll get interested in a technology when my neighbor has it. And that's essentially what they're saying when they're saying that is that they want someone else to prove the technology before they look at it. And there is a lot of work that occurs before we ever get to that point where their neighbor has it. And so having a map with at least logos that identify some of the technology that's being developed, I think from a farmer's perspective, might just help them understand how much is going on. Maybe they're not paying as much attention to it again until their neighbor has it, but there is a lot of work that goes into a company being successful before a neighbor has it. So making them aware of what companies are out there and specific technology spaces that may be available to them, I think might introduce them to technology at a little bit earlier time frame, and hopefully that helps accelerate the industry.
Okay, thank you, Walt. And I see an interesting from our chat box from Daniel. He's asking what's going to be different about the disruptive tech that is coming to market over the medium and the large group.
I'll take a stab. I think the disruptive nature of things will be by definition its name, disruptive. It's going to change maybe drastically the way that we do things. There's a few companies on that list, especially I think in the biologic space. They're very early. But we have science and technology now with genetics and chemical engineering and things that could drastically change how we feed cows, how we identify their health needs and health markers. Some of those are some of the major disruptors. I would say that they're going to come from sensors and from the health area.
No, I think the area of disruption, once we would know it, right? I think we are in front of massive disruptions. So the whole methane issue, if we see what's on the plate also with inhibitors and vaccinations, fantastic. Whenever it comes to overall management of farms for Generation Y people, right? The technologies will help a lot. It's not the hardworking guy is working 20 hours a day. It's something else coming up here. And I think, let's say the connection between the farmer and the consumer, this whole tool and everyone in the supply chain, there's fascinating opportunities.
Thank you. And I think next one from Usla. What's your opinion about the use of milking robot worldwide?
Well, it has been a European thing and a family farm thing, right? But Walt is now getting a thing in for large farms in US, right?
Yeah, I'd definitely say those technologies are in the large company space, and in the developed world of dairy farming, they're adopted and they're growing in adoption.
You know, with the automation, there's a very important items. It's about price for labor and capital. So we have salary levels on dairy farms from 20 cents per hour, $2 per hour, and $20 per hour and more. So robots fly much better, and automation flies much better on higher salary areas. On the opposite, we have in most developing countries where labor is cheap, capital is very expensive, right? So basically, manual work is much more an issue on low salary, high interest rate countries, where low interest rate and high salaries go for automation. And dairy milking is only one element. There will be much more elements which will be automated, which I think I'm pretty excited about it. And what maybe we could become dairy farmers at one stage of time, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think our audience would want to know, are you planning to continue the research and looking into the adoption rates of different technologies across farmers?
Adoption rates, pretty good idea. Walt, I think there has been some research done in the US on the adoption rates, but I think for us, it's the first map it, understand it, and then adoption is another piece of research. But is there any structured approach on collecting data on technology adoption in the US?
Yeah, that's probably outside the scope of what we were ready to talk about today. But I see a couple comments and questions about specific, sections of the dairy industry, where what companies fall in specific areas, and how those are being adopted. And that's something we're definitely interested in looking at next, I would say.
And another point, once again, I think we plan so far an annual update. Maybe sometimes in between, we don't know, but the best thing to be update yourself is join the group, put things in, so we have a little bit of automatism in it, and then once a year we wrap up the whole thing. Walt, maybe one question on your side on what you see on the chat and the question, which aspect is most exciting from your side?
One question that I think is for all technologies, and it depends on how they come to the marketplace, is the question of data ownership. A lot of these companies have a user agreement, and sometimes it's hard to get an understanding of exactly what we say, that the farmer owns the data. But when you read the user agreement, sometimes you could question whether that is actually true or not. So my suggestion to all farmers is to, before they sign up with the technology, make sure they read through that user agreement very carefully, because that will help answer the question of how much of their data do they get to keep and own.
Well, maybe just a discussion on that one. When it comes to data, are we progressive enough on sharing, or are we too protective and conservative on keeping things from our own? Where is dairy at the moment? Too scary or too risky?
I think we're still scary about sharing data, and that is the major question. Where are we going to fall as an industry on that spectrum? Are we going to share? Are we not going to share? And that is definitely the debate of the next decade, and it will get resolved. Right now, I would say there's probably just overall in the industry, there's enough producers that still need to adopt a few more technologies before they even get to that question, really understand it. But as technologies get adopted, more and more producers will start asking the question about their data and their ownership and sharing of that data.
I think, whoever is concerned about data and his data, I would recommend to lean back and think, when have you looked the last time on the data agreement with Visa, MasterCard, and Google, and what they do with what you do for them, right? And I think for me, the whole data privacy thing is a basic matter of trust and ethics coming from a committed company, which people can trust. I have doubts whether I, as a farmer, could follow all the written details what's in there. And even if I write it, there might be legal angles in there which open the back door on that one. So I would, with this whole data issue, I would go for choose trustworthy partners, ethical, judge the people ethically, and then this is my way how I would do it. Right?
I think that's why you see on our map, Torsten, those large companies, primarily, those would be the ones that producers do have that trust with, because they've had interactions either with a tech product or with another product, and so they do trust them. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of development that's occurring before that, and producers, will need to navigate that until they can get to that point of just trusting the company in general.
And I have one last question for Philip. Philip, if you would be a dairy farmer right now, and you have not locked in your prices for 2023, what would you recommend to do?
good that I'm not a dairy farmer. I need to take a decision now, but I think it will be relatively hard because prices are going to decrease. So the sooner you can lock the prices at a relatively high level, at least that you know that your costs are covered. I think this will be crucial to look and lock in the price that at least your costs are covered to operate with maybe a zero margin at this point, but at least to survive this, because afterwards also better times will come, and that's why I would go for this direction.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. So I've seen a lot of questions, but now it's time to move on to the next session. And thank you very much, everyone, for your input and nice questions. And right now, I want all the input from all of you. So I prepared a small poll. It would take less than a minute. I want to hear your feedback, your opinion regarding the dairy tech. So it will be really appreciated if you could take a time to do this little poll. Let us know your opinion and your feedback.
Yes. It's 3 simple questions on funding, right? On what area should dairy tech focus more on, and what was the third question here?
We have the answers coming in.
And we will share that later on with you on that one. And we will also share the poll results with you later on, because I think it will be useful well, the knowledge of the crowd, I think, is a very important indicator where we are, right?
Yes, the feedback's always important.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh.
And thanks for participating. And wow, now we're now on around 30% of the people voting, rapidly growing.
Yeah.
Shall we give them another 2 minutes?
It's still like increasing rapidly.
Yes.
We're gonna wait. Thank you very much.
Some people think longer and harder.
That's true.
But does that really get better results?
Depends. Sometimes yes, but sometimes the first instinction, sometimes people need more time to think to sort out their mindset.
Excellent. Oh,
okay. Still growing.
2/3 have voted here. Wonderful. Shall we create a countdown?
Okay. Guys, German people is very strict with time now here. Okay.
How would you do it in your style then?
Let's do full German style then. Okay, we're going to stop the poll in 1 minute. So once turn 26, we'll end the poll and start sharing the results.
So not counting backwards from 10 like a rocket or something.
Okay. Let's give them a little bit more time.
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to end the poll to share the result. So everybody can see the result right now.
And I think you can scroll back and forth on your screen to see, right? So the first results, wonderful. It's about 60% saying it's getting somehow harder, but around 40% are being between so and no. Well, I would have expected this more stronger on the yes. This keeps me a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah, that's definitely there's a bit of optimism there in that poll for sure. It has, I think, in my personal opinion, it has gotten more difficult. I've talked to a few startups in the medium company, and they say we're able to survive, thankfully, based off of the revenue that we're receiving. But if you're in that startup space, it's definitely going to be a little bit difficult for the next couple of years.
Excellent. So then on the area management and feeding is still the winner. And I think I fully agree. These are the areas where the biggest gain can be made. Let's move down to the last questions. So is there an impact on dairy farmers' profitability? This also puts me up positive because there's only half of the people saying it has a big impact. And you know, probably some of the technologies even still pay off. Nevertheless, it might get a little bit tricky. So thanks to all of you for the poll and working on it. Sheen, what's next then?
Okay, wait, let me move to another slide. And I prepared another small poll. I would like to know how do you like the last 1 hour event? And it will be wonderful if you can give us your feedback. And it will help us tremendously to improve and develop our service for you in the future.
Yeah, so it's a feedback to the conference, right?
Yes, and
so how did you like it? Which session was most interesting? And if you're not a member of IFCN or you want to engage more with IFCN,
yes,
please make the click, and then we know where and how we can follow up best.
And your feedback and your opinion matters to us. So please help us to improve better in the future.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we leave this poll running and we can continue with the next slide, right?
Yes.
Once again, the most important thing is to keep this activity moving. Please join the group. If you have something in the group to add more companies, adjust sizing and have any updates, please let me know. Can you move on? We have already a number of dairy leaders in this working group. And once again, as it was said, in January next year, we like to have another second dairy tech event and maybe something in between. Sheen, now what's next? What could the participant get out of this after the event?
One thing at a time. So first, I saw a lot of people giving the feedback about regarding the map of their company, and maybe they want to change it to another category, that maybe they want it to be added in the map as well. And it is possible. So please, if you have any feedback or opinion, send me an email today or latest tomorrow. And there's possible for us to make adjustments and update for the map. And also, I got a lot of questions from the chat and also from our registrants ask if they will get material after the event. The answer is yes. So for IFCN partners, you will get Dairy Tech map, slides, and the recordings on 20th of January via email. And for non-partners, you will receive Dairy Tech map and slides on 20th of January as well via email. And do not forget to join the LinkedIn group. That's be the member of the global tech world.
Very good.
Okay, I think.
Okay, now let's move to the last slide.
Yes.
And with that one, I like to thank all of you for joining. Big thanks to Walt, to Philip, to Sheen. You did a fantastic job. The students did a good job, and you, the whole audience, did a fantastic job of participation. Please keep moving. Dairy is at the moment under-teched. Right? We have enough talents, and by connecting talents, more things comes up, and we are all sitting in one boat, rowing together, make this a global movement, and this will really help all of us. Thanks a lot. And with that, I like to close in almost German time of 4:30, right? Okay, yeah. Thank you very much.
And a quick thank you from my side as well. And I wish you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And I hope to see you again at our next event.